Chad Moyer with you here on the Rural Radio Network, and it's time for another Fridays in the Field segment. And here at the end of the month of August, we find ourselves in northeast Nebraska, just north of Hooper, Nebraska. We're visiting with Nathan Schole. Nathan, thanks for visiting with us here again today. Last time we were here, we spent a lot of time talking about the high water at the end of June and some of the things that you had to do on your farm because of that. So let's kind of pick up where we left off there. You did get in and plant some forages or something to kind of keep a cover on the land, right?
Yeah, Chad, I planted 3/4 of it back to beans, but I did have some ground that was a little wetter that I had ended up planting some sorghum sedan grass. I have a neighbor with a small feedlot, and he was able to say he would take it to chop, and I thought rather than putting all my eggs in one basket, it might be a good idea to plant something besides some late beans in case we get an early frost.
Yeah, well, and again, a little bit more about that. Just the fact that, not everything goes well when there's high water, but we did do a couple of different things just because of timing and moisture and things like that, right?
Yeah, and a lot of it just boils down to, I had a cornfield that there was pockets of corn I had to leave, so it just seemed easier to plant some forage sorghum and some of this stuff later on than to put more beans in. And for being in the ground a month, the forage sorghum is actually head high on us right now.
Well, and we got to think that the weather has been ideal, even if the month of June wasn't. Since then, things have been pretty good for you guys here in northeast Nebraska, right?
Yeah, I would say early August, things were getting fairly dry, at least in this local area. Now, you go west and north and south, they'd gotten a little rain earlier at the beginning of August, but we were pretty dry here until just a week ago when we got about 4 inches here. But stuff held on, but we are very fortunate it rained here.
Yeah. All right. Like you said, timing is a lot of that stuff. So give us the update on the corn and the soybeans. Have we seen many insects? Have you seen much disease pressure since we last talked?
Oh, absolutely, Chad. It seems like in the beans there's a lot of frog eye leaf spot, and early on it seemed like it might be really hard to decide whether to spray beans or not this year. And I don't know, I walk fields and it looks like it might have been a good idea to spray some of them. As far as the corn goes, we have some gray leaf spot and some bacterial leaf streak and some other leaf diseases that have come on late. I think the corn's far enough along, it's not going to be a huge deal, but it's definitely pushing the corn along. And the other thing that has come up the last few weeks is there's a lot of yellow corn around, and I think the heavy rain events in June, we definitely lost some nitrogen, and it's showing in a lot of fields.
All right. How about progress of maturity between the corn and soybeans? Do you think this will be a normal harvest season in terms of timing? Early, late? What do you think?
Well, I think the corn's a little ahead here. I'd say at least 2 weeks compared to what we're used to. And it's going to be, unfortunately, one of those falls where you feel like you have to do corn and beans all at the same time. So a person's just going to have to prioritize what fields need to come out, I think.
And from what you're saying, between a nitrogen deficiency and maybe some disease pressure, maybe the top end of that yield come off a little bit?
I would say a little bit, yes. I mean, there definitely was some lost yield. It's still going to be very good, don't get me wrong, but there's definitely some agronomic issues out there.
All right. Now, we're standing here in a cover crop field, and that's one of the things that we picked, one of the reasons why we picked Nathan to do our Fridays in the Field segment this year is he is incorporating cover crops into his operation. So we're standing in a kind of a cocktail mix of a cover crop. Give us a kind of a description here. What are we standing in?
So this field was actually winter wheat. It was harvested around 8th of July, I believe. Not for certain, but that's real close to that. And we have a little bit of wheat every year with our hog operation for bedding. And then it also is a great place to spread manure. Manure is nice when it's dry, and it's usually dry in July. So then we put manure on it, and then we disc it in, and we drill in some oats, radishes, turnips, and late fall my brother will bring his cows out here, and they will absolutely eat it down to the ground. It'll look like pavement when they're done.
Yeah. So kind of give us the status now. We're standing it looks like it's about a foot tall or between foot and 18 inches tall. How high will this cover crop get before you turn the cows out in it?
Depending on when it freezes, the oats and stuff could definitely get to waist tall. It will definitely shoot up here. This has only been in the ground a month, and it's already shin high. So
And you said the cows just absolutely love it out here, huh?
Oh, they love the oats and they love the radishes. It's kind of fun to watch them pull them out of the ground.
Now, you said that you've been using cover crops 4 or 5 years. Have you observed any other benefits? Besides a place to put manure, some grazing for the cattle. Any other benefits that you've observed?
It definitely helps with compaction. The radishes will go in the ground quite a ways, and they'll break up some of the hard pan. And I would say it benefits the corn crop the next year. We generally plant corn after this next spring, and it usually does very well.
All right, very good. So we've done the corn and soybean update, talked a little bit about cover crops here. Just as we kind of wrap up here, give us your vision for the rest of fall. We're going to talk to you here in about 6 weeks, but what are you watching for between now and the start of harvest?
Well, I think it's going to just depend. I'd like to say we're going to do most of our beans first, but I think we're going to have to prioritize and take some corn out before we get a lot of the beans out this year, and that'll be something different for this area.
All right, very good. Well, thank you so much for giving us the update this week. Do appreciate it very much, Nathan.
No problem, Chad. It's been fun.
We've been visiting with Nathan Schole. Again, he is from Hooper, Nebraska, northeast Nebraska, here on our Fridays in the Field segment here on the Rural Radio Network. I'm Chad Moyer reporting.